Okay, welcome back to another video. Today's Workbench video is going to be a showcase of what I've done in two separate 2-week periods. So what we see out here in front of us is from the first 2 weeks of the last month, and then the second part of the video will be the last 2 weeks of the last month. Simply being because if you watched the very end of my last video, I wasn't feeling the best because I was sick, so I had COVID. I had COVID for 2 weeks. It's still... Although I'm negative, I still have effects of it. So that's been a really rough 2 weeks. My son had it, I had it. My wife, for some reason, who took care of us both, didn't get it. I'm not too sure how that happened, but she's lucky. But yeah, I've been basically, I wouldn't say bedridden, but I've been couch-ridden for the best part of 1 full week and half of another week. And I still had to go to work. Out of the maybe 12 days I was sick as a dog, I had to go to work for 8 of those days. So don't mind the heavy breathing and the coughing. I'm still feeling the effects on my lungs. But anyway, this part of the video is what I did in the first 2 weeks. And if you can just see here, it is the Gallowdark terrain for the Kill Team box set. So me and my wife, we both painted up all of the wall sections, all the bits. Over here you'll see the some extra bits that aren't part of that set that I just added to it. I just painted some extra bits. So that's not really all that exciting. It was fairly easily painted. It's just I got from Canadian Tire here in Canada. I got some, I don't know what it's called. It's like royal blue, sprayed royal blue interior paint. And then I washed it with very weak, not non-oil, but essentially with black paint watered down and just basically poured on it. And it kind of dried really nice. And then I just painted some highlights on it, you know. Painted the lights, just some details, computer screens. It's essentially 4 colors. It's the blue, a brass color, this kind of browny metal color, most of it, and then a couple of accent colors. So that's what I did the first week. That whole set took an entire week of my life. I'm not the best at actually painting terrain, so... but I still had the set, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with the excuse me, with the figures inside. I did not like the crude figures. I'm not a crude person, and I also didn't really like the breachers, because online there is a STL file for I think they're called Void Troopers, and they looked amazing. So I 3D printed my own Imperial breachers. So if you just hang on, you're going to see them here off to the corner here. I'm going to get down, resume in, take a look at them in more detail. So here they are. Here is 2 squads of 10, so 10 in the front and 10 in the back, of Void Troopers. Now, again, like I said, they're 3D printed by me. They come... they're excellent figures, by the way, excellent files. They come pre-supported, so I really didn't really have to do a whole lot. I just had to just put them on the build plate, sort them out into an order, and print away. They come multi-part, so they don't come exactly like this. The torso and the arms come separate, but they are multi-part, so you get enough figures to make. You get basically, I think, 10 bodies, and then you get an assortment of helmets, assortment of guns, arms, you name it. I do know now they have close combat variants of these, which I haven't got yet. But I'll do that probably the next couple of weeks. But I'll show them a little bit more, a little closer up here. I'll take this guy out here and I'll just zoom back out. So here is the sergeant. He's got kind of like an auto pistol there and a chain sword. Hopefully that detail's coming through there. It's actually a fantastic figure for a 3D printed figure. That's the sergeant. I'll show you the Vox operator. Really cool. We'll do just a regular trooper. Let's choose this guy here. The running pose. Now I put them on clear bases because the set comes with like a board, so I wanted the board to show through. So they're kind of on clear bases, but super glue made it go a little frosty. But anyway, here we go. Sorry, getting distracted again. These are painted with Rune Lord brass. I just did an overall thing with Rune Lord brass. I then Agrax earth shaded that. I then dry brushed some really bright silver lightly over the model, and then I painted the what you would call the interior spacesuit sort of a dark gray, and then highlighted it with light gray, so it kind of had like a rubbery appearance, a gray rubbery appearance. And then I just did contrast painted the pouches and stuff with Gorguntha fur. We'll get this guy here. This is the Sergeant of the 2nd Squad. He's got a plasma gun. No, I didn't do the glow on that. I just wanted these painted to get that off the table. So there's him. We'll do the flamer. Here's the flamethrower. Again, they're multi-part, so I didn't have to have the flamethrower on the crouched guy. It could be on any of the guys. We'll do another one more. We'll do Mr. Pointy Yelly Face. So this is like a corporal or something. His visor is up. He's pointing and yelling. There's something down that direction. But yeah, that's the Void Trooper. So that's the first thing that I did. Actually, no, I have some more. I have some more over here, some historical stuff. But if you look at the terrain piece, you know, let's open the door here. You know, they look pretty good. I really like them. Now, if you hear that buzzing sound, there is a humongous wasp just flew into my room. So if you hear me shriek like a girl all of a sudden, then you'll know it's close. But let's try and not do that on live, on camera. Anyway, so that's the first thing that I did. Gallowdark. The second thing that I did was Napoleonics. I'm just going to move the camera. I'm going to pause, move the camera over a little bit because I don't have a lot of room in my basement, so it'll be 1 second. All right, I've moved over a foot. This is the second thing that I did. So that was the first part. I basically took a whole week to do that, the 40K Gallowdark stuff. And then the second week I spent 3D printing, priming, painting, and basing some more 6mm Napoleonics. Now about, I would say 10 months, 11 months ago. Excuse me. Haven't talked this much in a while. About 10 months ago, I posted a video showing my hopes of getting a sort of a campaign, a single-player campaign game going, where I was going to use a board game, a Napoleonic board game, to simulate the movement of troops in 1813 Europe, in Germany. And how I was excited to do that because I had the French, I had the Russians painted, and I was going to paint up some Prussians, which I showed in a later video. And then I probably wasn't going to do any Austrians, but I was going to play the campaign, the early version of the campaign, I guess we'd call it the spring campaign, where it's just the Russians versus the Prussians and Russians. No, what am I saying? The French, my God. French versus Prussians and Russians in like the major battles there. I guess Lutzen would be first and then Bautzen would be second. But I decided, you know what, I really wanted some Austrians. So what I did was I quickly printed off and painted up 2 Austrian corps. So these aren't the big corps. This is Klenau's corps, and this is Gulai. I think that's how his name is. Gyulai. Gulai. Anyway, first corps. Well, it's not first corps, but 1 corps here, another corps there. And this is quite a small corps. It's only got 2 divisions of 2 brigades each, some corps artillery, and an advance guard brigade of a mixed brigade of Grenzers and Hussars. And then the other corps has 2 divisions of 3 brigades each. It has a brigade of Grenzers, a brigade of cuirassiers, of dragoons, and then it has its corps artillery. So this one's a lot bigger than that one, but This is enough, along with what I have in the Russians and the Prussians currently, to fight the up until the Battle of Dresden. So not as far as Leipzig, but definitely Dresden I can do easily, and everything before that. So from the beginning of the spring campaign in 1813 till the autumn when Napoleon fights the Allies at Dresden, I have enough to do that. I'll just show you. This is a Grenzer, 6mm Grenzer brigade, 2 battalions, or I guess not really 2 battalions, but it's a brigade of them. This is the 1st Brigade of one of the divisions. Now, all of the cuffs are correct to the regiment at the time. So this regiment is Infantry Regiment 41 and Infantry Regiment 1 of the Line Division 3. So I don't know which one's 1. I think it's the red one is 1 and the yellow is 41. But anyway, regardless, the cuffs are correct. And the 1st Brigade of every division, so 1, 2, 3, and then this one here, has a skirmish screen of Austrian Jaegers attached to it. The rest do not have that. From my research, the Austrian, at least the hastily called up regiments, they kept them in tight, dense columns. They wouldn't really skirmish a whole lot. They would rely on brigades like the Grenzers or specific battalions like the Jaegers to actually do the skirmishing for them. So I didn't want to simulate skirmishers on every single base. Only on the initial 1st Brigade of each division would have that ability. So there's them. What else will I show you? They're all basically the same. I'll show you the cuirassier. Now they have the distinctive black cuirass on the front only, not on the back. I have them in a sort of a V formation, the 1st Regiment and 2nd Regiment. And who are these? These are Cuirassier Regiment number 3 and number 7. So that's the Cuirassier. I'll show you the Dragoons. Now the Dragoons, excuse me, in 1813 Austria, or even in 1805, I couldn't find any specifics about how the Austrians designated what was a light cavalry regiment and what was a dragoon regiment. It seemed to be, to me, that they had heavy regiments like cuirassier, they had line regiments like dragoons and chevaux légers, and they had light regiments like uhlans and hussars. Whereas in the French army, if you had a chevaux légers and a dragoon regiment, they were totally different. A dragoon regiment was more akin to a heavy regiment of horse than a light regiment. So whereas the French kind of broke down their cavalry into maybe 4, possibly 5 distinct types of cavalry, the Austrians, from what I can research, only had basically 3 distinct types: light, medium, or light, line, and heavy. So these are the chevaux légers, but they could easily be just called dragoons. Again, who is this? This is chevaux légers 5 and 6 of the 3rd Reserve Division. So they have a little commander out front, and then 2 distinct chevaux légers regiments up front. And then we'll show you the artillery next. It's not really very fancy. A lot of people, they put a lot of stuff on the back of the bases to designate like the gun carriages and the ammo boxes and the tenders and some horses. But me, I didn't. For line in the game, for line battalions of artillery, essentially the foot artillery, I don't put a whole lot there. I might put a commander every now and again, but I only put stuff on the back of the base if it's cavalry, like horse artillery. That way, when they're on the table at a convention game or whatever, I can kind of tell as I'm wandering around, instructing the players, well, that's definitely a line or a heavy or a medium. It's not horse. It can't move and fire, that kind of stuff, just because there's not a lot of clutter in the back. But anyway, this is Austrian artillery. And this is a light, looks to me like the light or the medium guns. What does it say? No, it just says core art with a K. And then these ones have the heavy guns. Sorry for reaching over there. Hopefully that didn't look too bad. The barrels are a little bigger. Not much difference, really. And that's it. That is what I got done in the last two, or the first. This is what I got done 4 weeks ago, which was 2 weeks worth of work. I got the Gallowdark terrain done, some 3D printed custom Void Troopers, which I really like, and then 2 Austrian cores to go with my campaign game that is coming up. So this gives me, now if I can just nerd out here for a second on Napoleonics, this gives me 2 Austrian core, 1 humongous Prussian core, and 5 or 6 Russian cores. So I'm excited to get that started. You'll probably see a post on that in the next maybe 3 weeks where I set out the map on the table and I kind of go over. The initial video will be me going over how the campaign will work, and I'm excited to get that started. Now, I'm going to pause the video. Excuse me, bloody COVID. I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to show you what I've done in the last 2 weeks. So what would have been its own separate video, I'm just going to bang into one, because everyone loves watching really long, rambly videos online in their spare time. Hold on. And a fantastic amateur edit just there. So this is my next thing that I've been working on, and it is 28mm plastic and metal Perry Miniatures War of the Roses for the game Nevermind the Billhooks. Now I don't know a lot about Nevermind the Billhooks, but I have watched some videos and it looked like a really fun experience, and I've always wanted to do War of the Roses in some style. I initially bought the boxes, the plastic boxes of miniatures from Perry, to do actually a 28mm custom, what would you call it, House of the Dragon army. And I was really motivated, and I thought for sure online someone has dragony type helmets and figures that I could kind of intermingle into the historical plastic stuff and come up with House of the Dragon. And I searched for several days. In fact, out of the 2 weeks that this has been, I would say 4 of those days have been searching the internet for files, and I found a 0, which has never happened to me before in searching for files online. But what I did decide on was, I decided while I was kind of like at night before I go to sleep, I'd watch some videos. I always do. I always watch other people's YouTube videos, see what they're up to. And one of the guys was, I don't know what the heck, he's from Australia. Oh, come on. Think of his name, you fool. Has TV in the name. It's not Littleworth TV. I'll think of it. Anyway, but he had a little campaign on Nevermind the Billhooks, and I was watching it, and I kind of fell in love with the system. Seemed really easy, really intuitive, more like instead of being a strict historical game, it seemed like more of just a beer and pretzel type game. So, you know what? I have the models. I might as well start painting them. And if I do find, or people do make House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones figures on STL form, I'll still do that, and I can just add these troops to that. So here we go. Nevermind the Billhooks, Yorkists and Lancastrians. Like I said, I'm a lonesome gamer, so I got to paint both sides of everything, which takes a little longer, but essentially I can paint one of these blocks of 24 a day. So I figure I have enough here once they're based to play a small game, but I want to double this. And then once this is doubled, I'll be happy. I'll be able to play whatever game I kind of want. It doesn't have to be Nevermind the Billhooks. Now I have these on Litco bases. Again, they're all Perry miniatures. There's not another manufacturer in here. It's all Perry. I have them on Litco bases that I bought because I found it extremely difficult to find movement trays that had 6 figure frontage. Most of them that you'll find all have 5, and it's a 6-figure frontage game, so I had to custom order those in from the UK or from the US, which I spent more money than I wanted to on them, but they're here and they work. And I'm going to have a video on after this showing the system that Litco have for basing, which I thought was really cool. So that'll be like a 2-minute video after this. Now, so what I've done here is I have painted up some plastic men-at-arms. Now, they're not knights because I've been corrected by rules junkies that not everyone who wears armor is physically knighted by the king or anointed by another knight. They're basically just professional soldiers who have armor. They're basically, some of them are actual lords, or minor lords, minor nobles. Some of them are, this might be the lord of such and such a town, and he might have 3 guys with him, and then another lord comes in and he brings his 3 guys, and they just assemble into a block of heavily armored men-at-arms, not knights. I have 2 Yorkist, excuse me, some suffering, man. 2 Yorkist bowman bases of 12 men each. Now again, plastic Perry miniatures, painted with painted the way I paint everything these days, which is quick and dirty. Essentially, prime them white. Doesn't have to be Games Workshop white. That's very expensive stuff. It could be any white, army painter white. Painted white, and then base coated completely, head to foot, shoes, pants, socks, face, everything with contrast paints, and then with regular acrylic paints highlighted. So I don't know if it comes across. Maybe I'll take a figure out here. I'll use this little artilleryman. So he is contrast painted underneath and then highlighted with acrylic paints on top. And I think from 3 feet away, like we are, that looks perfectly fine. So the Yorkists have 2 bases of, excuse me, my goodness, I haven't talked this long in 2 or 3 weeks. A bowman. There's also a base of pikemen. Now, whenever I've ordered more, whenever that stuff comes in, this will be a dual unit of pikemen, a big pike block. So here is some mercenary pikemen. They're painted red, but I have them currently with the Yorkist side of the field, but they're actually going to be fighting for the Lancastrians. But just because I wanted it to look even, that's what I did. There's obviously the artillery, the rudimentary artillery. Now these are in the livery of the Earl of Stafford, I think, red and white. So he's brought a custom gun. There is some mercenary from across the channel handgunners. Sorry, I edited there, got a coughing fit. Yeah, so some mercenary handgunners. There's a block of bill here. Reaching again. There's a block of bill, and like the billmen have their little master at arms guys here. The standard bearer. And again, like I said before, all contrast painted with highlights on top. The metal is just lead belcher spray or any plate mail spray from Army Painter. Non-oiled, then dry brushed with iron hand steel, and then with mithril silver or any really bright silver on top of that. Oh my goodness, I'm struggling through this, guys. I'm really, really sorry. Here is now they're not set into their bases. That might annoy some people, but the reason being is I'll show you later. These are the Litco system bases. They basically have a little piece of metal on the bottom. And I wanted that piece of metal, it's a metal sticker essentially, to stick fully before I press them physically down in. So here is some custom lord, not custom lords, but some actual lords. Now he is black and red, so he is part of the is it the Lord of Buckingham or the Duke of Buckingham? He's with the Duke of Buckingham. Yellow and green, I can't remember, and blue and white. That would be basically anyone really. That would be Henry VI, the Prince of Wales, the Bastard of Falkenberg, any of those. But anyway, they're Lancastrian men-at-arms, not knights. I cannot say the word knights. I'll trigger a whole lot of people. Some Lancastrian billmen. Now this lord has like a yellow edging around his uniform. And from what I can see is the yellow edging seems to be some sort of seniority, maybe the Henry VI personal retinue. So to distinguish him from the Duke of Forkenberg, whatever his name is, Falkenberg, his guys would have yellow around them, the edges. Man, I'm going to speed this up because I am not doing well. And then here is the Austrian Bowman, painted really quickly. So there's over 100 figures there. There's 100, I don't know, maybe 100, what is it, 115, 16. I'm currently working on painting more today. So this is Henry VI. He's going to be kind of like an objective figure, not really an actual playable figure. I'm starting on my mounted men-at-arms. I have 8 of them to do today. I have primed and started to base. This is the Prince of Wales for the Lancastrians. Come on, focus, damn you. Man, I suck at this. Anyway, that is the Prince of Wales. This is Somerset, and this is the Duke of Buckingham, I think. Duke, Lord, I don't know. Anyway, so they will be the 3 Lancastrian commanders. And then just for fun, Perry has a dismounted Richard III. Although I'm not using him as Richard III, he'll probably be Edward IV with a banner bearer. So those are the things that I'm working on today. These will be done this evening. And then I will move on to something else. I'm still waiting for several more boxes of this stuff to show up to finish this project. But basically, right now, it's on hold until they come in. And I'm really sorry for the coughing. I don't know. It's probably because I'm talking a lot. But I'm going to pause, have a coughing fit. I'll be right back. Let's try this again. Okay. So to close things out, I haven't uploaded for a month because A, I was really sick, and B, there's been so much happening. I'm still painting a lot. I'm just not able to upload videos. We had to have our little kitten spayed, so Jellicoe got spayed and neutered today. Or not today, yesterday. So we've been running around after her like a mad person, trying to keep her from opening her own wound. On the weekend, I went to a buy and sell, a wargaming buy and sell in a city maybe an hour from me. And it's the first time I've really been out of the house that's not to work in months. And a very odd thing happened to me. In fact, 2 odd things happened to me there that had me cringing all the way home. Now, God damn it. Now, I know I upload these videos to YouTube, but this is more of for me, this is more of a mental health thing for me. Just instead of being a lonely guy in my basement, enjoying the hobby by myself, I thought I would post my hobby online just as a way of connecting with the community on what it is that I do. Like, hey, I'm part of this too. Look at my stuff. And then I'll look at your stuff and vice versa and so on and so forth. But at this buy and sell, I'm in the room. I have my whole table set up and me and my wife and my son are there. And people are coming by and they're purchasing things or asking questions. So it was the most, and the word me and my wife used, it was the most people-y day we've had in several years. There must have been 200 people walked through the doors along with another 60 people inside. So there's almost 300 people to talk to. So I did a lot of talking that day. And a person came up and asked a question. And he didn't ask it to me. I think he was asking it to somebody else. Maybe I don't know how this started, but I was talking to another customer about something. And this guy said to me, he's like, hey, do you have a YouTube channel? And I looked at him and honestly, I said, no. No. And then my wife grabbed my knee and squeezed it onto the table. And I'm like, wait, I do. And then I looked at him again. He's like, you don't? And then I didn't know what to say. So I said, no, but yes. He's like, because your voice sounds very familiar. And that blew me away. Somebody knows my voice. It doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't compute in my brain, or in that moment in time, it didn't compute that someone recognized my voice. So I told this poor guy that I didn't have a YouTube channel several times. The first time I told it to him, it was because I didn't think I had. Sorry, excuse me, my goodness. And the second time I told it to him, I didn't, was because I was kind of embarrassed and I didn't want anyone to like, I didn't know who else would notice the voice, and I didn't want a lot of people talking to me because I have, unfortunately I have high anxiety. I'm dealing with that, but I was kind of nervous. So I said, no, not me. And then I told him no again, I think a third time, just because I didn't, although I wanted to talk to him and it would have been great to talk to him, you kind of get stuck in a lie and you're like, no. And then as he walked away, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I do that? That was so embarrassing. So if that guy does watch this video at this time, 30 friggin' minutes in, man, I'm really sorry. That was out of character for me. I don't know why I did that. It was kind of like fight or flight instinct, and I chose to run. The second weird thing happened is that everyone has their own little table set up. So, you have your stuff all laid out on the table, and everyone has an assigned table, but all the tables kind of like are right together, touching each other. And a really nice gentleman came up and he had a box in his hand, a white box, and he asked me, hey, do you think these will work for 15 millimeter ACW? And he opened the box and there was some terrain in there. Now, one of the houses looked far too modern for that time period, and 3 of the houses looked like they were from the Dark Ages, or from the Eastern Front in World War II. Some were muddy and thatchy. And I said, well, no, not really. I mean, terrain is subjective anyway. It's abstract. You can have whatever. You can have styrofoam. It doesn't really matter. It's your game. And he said, oh, I know, but I just wondering if these would work for that because I'm trying to get into that. And I thought he had bought this box somewhere else in the show and just out of the blue decided to get my opinion on it for some reason, even though we don't know each other. So I was kind of like, what is this guy going on about? So I had to ask him like 3 times, like, like, not what are you asking me for, but no, I don't know, man. It's up to you. And he put the box down and he walked off. And I thought to myself, what? Why did he leave the box there? What had happened was someone else had bought that box from another room of the show, and when he was buying something from me, he left his box down to pay me and left with my stuff but didn't take his own stuff. And then for the rest of the time, people kept asking me questions about this box of stuff. And I honestly thought that they were asking my advice. I didn't know it was on my table and they thought I was selling it. It was really strange, man. Really strange. Anyway, I've struggled enough through this video. To the guy who recognized my voice at this buy and sell in Hamilton, really, really sorry. That was really weird. I drove home the whole way across the QEW, up the 410 to where I live. The whole time kind of making that cringe noise you make when you grit your teeth. You're like, oh God, that was so awkward. I did that the whole way home. So if you haven't watched this bit, really sorry. If you're at another event and you see me there, reconnect. We'll do this properly. Second thing is really sorry for the long upload today. I had a lot to do, a lot to show, and a lot to say. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Bye for now.